most famous physical therapist on the internet.
Hi folks, I'm Brad Heineck, physical therapist. I'm with the Bob and Brad Physical Therapy channel, and today we have a special guest, Chris, and we're going to cover in detail the latest research and information on Lyme disease. And the title of this video is Lyme disease is a growing problem. Where, symptoms, treatment, and prevention. We're going to cover all those sections. You're going to find out some very interesting updated information I'm completely unaware of, but I'm glad I know now. And before we go any farther, Tanner, is there a giveaway today? So this is Saturday. There's no giveaway. We don't have to worry about that. We should.
All right.
Chris, can you help me with this?
I can definitely give you a hand.
Yeah, this is Bob's job, so I'm a little rusty, but if you go to bobandbrad.com, no giveaway today, but tomorrow at 9 o'clock, you'll see the giveaway. Just go to the giveaway section and it'll clear up that information. Go to the Facebook. It's pinned to the top of the page. Click on that. You'll see what we're giving away. Could be it's not a mattress. So is it this time, Tanner? No, it's going to be something else. Go to Instagram, Twitter. We're on that as well. And the podcast. This is going to be a podcast.
Yes, it is.
Actually. So, yeah, we're covering all the bases.
All the bases. So,
Lyme disease, something that people, I think, across the United States for sure everyone's heard of it.
Yep, I think it's a growing, spreading problem, and
right.
I mean a lot of that comes down to there's climate change. There's a lot of it. They like warm and moist, and let's face it, things have kind of changed over the last 20 years. When you kind of look at some of the maps that are available, it shows the spread pretty dramatically over the last 20 years. Midwest, out east is particularly bad, but the Minnesota-Wisconsin area is pretty big hot zone too.
And we do have a really nice map showing statistically where the cases are and where they're intensified. If you want to go to the end of the video and you'll see
we'll place those maps for you.
That's right. Another thing I don't think you mind mentioning is one of the reasons we did do this video because someone here actually has Lyme disease.
No longer. Yeah, I'm cured.
So you were really motivated to get, or extra motivated to get more updated information on how to treat it and how to get better.
Yeah, as a pharmacist, I mean, I deal with customers and patients that come in all the time.
Right.
And I've always just kind of counseled them on their meds, but I really never you kind of take it for granted, what people feel like till you actually perceive it yourself.
Sure.
And frankly, I didn't really, I think either I was in denial or I thought it was a spider bite or something first. Cause I had these 2 small bites kind of in the hip region and it was just, and it just kind of started spreading into a rash. And my wife's like, you need to go in. I'm like, nah, it'll be fine. She's like, no, you really need to go in.
And so it's from a tick.
Yep, it's from a tick. So, yeah, when I went in, and now it's interesting because, and this is one of the problems with Lyme disease. Lyme disease mimics, they call it the great pretender. So it looks like a lot of other diseases. So arthritis, flu. I mean, you can have headaches, so migraines, Bell's palsy, where it actually can cause facial paralysis. Yeah, so it can cause.
So it's not actual Bell's palsy; it's kind of symptoms.
No, yeah, because it can actually go into your cranial nerves. You got the 12 cranial nerves, and so what can happen is the spirochete, which is what the bacteria is, it can affect those nerves, and it actually requires pretty intensive IV antibiotic therapy to get the patient out of it. So, and there's 3 stages of Lyme disease itself. So it's it's the variety and the severity and when you catch it are all critical in its treatment. And so the key is early, and that's the problem. So if you can get it in the first stage, it's great. And usually what does it happen for people? It's it's going to be something that so stage 1 is going to be, you'll probably see the rash, you feel a little achy, weak, tired, fatigued, even kind of confused. Your thought process isn't that great.
Is the rash location always associated with the location of the bite?
Generally, but not always. And actually only 70% of the cases have the rash. So there's another full on 30% that don't even show this rash.
Okay.
And that's why Lyme disease can be so devastating. I mean, even to the point where it's fatal. So that's the scary part because it can progress to things like Lyme carditis where it affects people's hearts. And if that can cause arrhythmias and ultimately fatality. So I mean that's the worst case scenario. And that's
I have a good friend. She was in her 60s, lived on a farm all her life, and all of a sudden, very healthy person, very aware of her health. And she got Lyme disease, and it did affect her heart, and she actually got a pacemaker as a result of it.
Yeah, and they do talk about that, quite a bit in most of the research. So I mean, it's some scary stuff, and I mean, the key is early intervention to get it treated as quickly as possible. Hopefully, your doctor is knowledgeable about it, and that's one of the problems. Is we're a pretty travel-prone society. So let's say you're up from Kentucky camping in Minnesota, where there's a lot of tick problems, or in Pennsylvania, where there's probably more ticks than any other state. You all of a sudden you get bit, you go back home, and you have a rash, you don't really think about it, or just let's say you don't get the rash and you're just kind of achy and feverish, and you're like, oh, I must have picked up a virus.
Sure.
It doesn't, you can't really discern what it is because it does so many different things in your body.
Sure.
And so if you go and you see your doctor, you got, it's just a virus, it'll pass. And all of a sudden you're 2 months into this thing, and you got all of a sudden your face is not working right, you can't sleep well, you're crabby, you're moody, your muscles ache, you have an arthritic joint that just blows up on you for no reason when you didn't have any history of arthritis.
Okay.
So it's, when they say it's the great pretender, it picks up just about everything, and it's head to toe. It can cause, brain and thinking issues. It can cause essentially, the burning and tingling, like a neuropathy, which we've talked about in the past. So, these are things that, when you talk to your doctor, you want to be super duper careful with that, and make sure that they're knowledgeable about the symptoms.
Now, typically when people get bit by one of these little baby deer ticks, you can hardly see them when they're, because they're most infectious when they're in their
the nymph stage.
So that's like a baby deer tick.
So that's the third stage. So eggs. Mom lays eggs in the fall. They're actually disease-free, which is what I found pretty interesting.
Yeah.
They hatch, they emerge, become a larva. They attach onto a mouse or a bird. That's where they pick it up. They take their blood meal. Then basically they molt and they grow into the nymph stage, which is about the size of a poppy seed. So if you ever had a lemon poppy seed muffin, that's the size you're dealing with. And most people don't see those, and that's why they're more dangerous at that stage than anything else, because the contact time for a tick bite, the CDC actually says that, and most of the entomologists and disease specialists and bug specialists say it has to be in place for about 24 to 36 hours for the disease to transmit into your body.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So you can't see a nymph. And the other goofy thing these little buggers do, although they're arachnids, is that they when they bite you, they contain a little bit of an anesthetic, so you can't even feel the bite. It's completely numb to you. So most people don't have a clue that they even were bit by a tick. So when they're bigger, when they're adult stage.
So that leads me into that previous question. I was wondering, so after they bite you and you cannot feel it, but like I was bit by one, and I did have the red ring.
Yep.
Nothing happened as a result.
And,
but do you always get the red ring around the bite, or typically?
Most times you do, but not always.
Okay.
And then also, just because you got a red ring around the bite does not necessarily mean you're going to get Lyme disease either. So,
which was what happened to me.
Yep,
and
that's
clear.
And probably in more cases than not, that's going to be the case.
Oh,
because,
really?
Yeah, they only have. It's interesting. They think there's about 300,000 cases per year, but they only have definitive diagnosis for about 30,000. So when you go in and get lab testing, most doctors, and that's why that number is skewed by, we're talking, 10%. I mean, it's a big number, 300,000 down to 30,000. But I think most of the cases, doctors will basically empirically treat based on your symptomology. And we have a lot of very experienced clinicians out there that recognize, at least if you're in the Minnesota, Wisconsin, out east, New York, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, those Pennsylvania, all those states are just huge with tick populations and Lyme-bearing ticks.
Sure. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, talk about virus, bacteria. This is not a virus, right?
No, it's a bacteria, although ticks are filthy. So they carry, everything. They got viruses, parasites, but in this particular case, the bacteria, it's a spirochete.
Yeah. You're not making me feel good about going hunting again.
No, I know. But we're going to talk about how to make sure you don't get bit.
Okay,
too. So
good. There's light at the end of the tunnel. We can continue to be active in the outdoors.
No, we want you outside. We want you doing, but we just have to be smart about what we're doing and when we're doing it.
Right.